Hey, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of Two Bald Nerds. I'm Mike Meyers.
And I'm Richard Chapman.
And welcome aboard. We're going to be talking in this episode about where do we get our information. And there's so many different sources for this that I thought it'd be interesting. And I'm going to pick on poor Richard yet again as our resident expert for that type of stuff. I've got my sources, but Richard, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you a lot about where you're getting your IT news, your IT information, whatever the term you want to use, because IT security is such a fast-moving topic. I think staying on top of it is so important. So, Richard, take it away, man. If somebody wanted to start building their sources, what should they do?
First and foremost, I don't think you should rely on one source. I think there's a lot of different sources out there, and a lot of people, even like us, we're on multiple platforms. We're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, we're on, well, little bit on TikTok, but that's a whole different issue. We'll talk about that one later. Instagram, of course, Facebook. I mean, there's so many different platforms out there that you can get information from, and we generally tend to spread across those, and a lot of these other people do as well too. But that being said, there are some specific ones you can look for. For instance, cybersecurity news. There are news organizations out there that focus on cybersecurity news. You can go directly to those websites. That's an easy one, right? Pretty much most everybody can type in a website. You can type in a website, right, Mike?
I can. Sometimes I use both hands. But Richard, are there a couple of websites in particular that you might recommend for somebody?
Yeah, so I love Bleeping Computer. I think it's an excellent source. The Hacker News is another really, really good one as well too. There's so many different ones out there. I think you kind of get used to reading some. There's certain ones that you just like the way that they write. They have very nice flow, very nice content. So you kind of get used to seeing some of those, and you can basically just go back to those websites, bookmark them. I can tell you if I pull up my bookmark, there's a whole bunch of links for cybersecurity news. And I don't know if we want to see that right now, but I can definitely show that to you as well too. So absolutely beneficial to know some of these news sources. Going right along with news sources though, blog posts. Blog posts a lot of times can also come from those same news sources, but there's a lot of industry professionals that have been around for a long time who are highly respected, like Krebs, Kaspersky, Daniel Meisler. They all have blog posts out there as well that you can, follow and read and really gain some really good information and knowledge from them as well. So,
Kaspersky, really? So that's one you use? I of course I know Kaspersky. It's just not a blog. I'm literally typing this in as you say it because you got me all curious now.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. And again, something we'll talk about here in a few minutes that you might be able to organize this a little better are, RSS feeds, and we'll touch on those in a minute because I think you use an RSS feed as well too, if I remember correctly. So
I do. I actually do.
So nice.
And I'll bet a nickel. Yeah, guys, we don't rehearse this very hard. Okay, so I got a feeling we're going to be talking about a very similar tool, Feedly, but we'll see. Go ahead, Richard. So,
no, you see, you're letting the cat out of the bag a little bit. I mean, it's one of the number ones. It's one of the number one RSS feeds out there. So or feed services. So it's a good one. But we'll come back to that. How about podcasts, Mike? Do you listen to any podcasts?
Not security podcasts.
Okay. IT ones.
General IT ones. A lot of stuff. Me, Richard. I'm always going to be a hardware guy in my soul, and so I certainly do listen to a number of different podcasts.
I'll tell you, one of my favorite things to do actually when I need to, clear my mind and really not focus on anything, I love hopping in my car and throwing a podcast on, pull up Spotify, pull up a podcast and just drive and let the podcast play. Some of the podcasts are more entertaining, but they're still kind of surrounding IT and cybersecurity, like Darknet Diaries, for instance. Definitely a little more entertaining, but you also get a lot of really good information and knowledge, practical experience on how some of this stuff works, right? But some of them like CyberWire Daily, a little more technical, a little more focused, a little shorter as well. So you can kind of listen to them at more opportune times when you have limited time. I mean, there's a lot of different podcasts out there, and I'm sure if you Google cybersecurity podcasts, you'll probably find some. Same with IT podcasts as well too. Yeah.
Oh, I've been listening to Heavy Networking, which is all part of the Packet Pushers for a long time.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. Twitter.
Yeah,
How about Twitter?
I'm not a Twitter person. I don't know
Neither am
why.
I.
Yeah,
Neither am I.
never
I'm
done much
really
Twitter.
not a Twitter person, but I will tell you there are some awesome feeds out there for cybersecurity. There are IOC feeds. So as individuals are doing some of these larger investigations, they're actually putting indicators of compromise, IP addresses and things like that of like C2 servers, command and control servers, to clarify that. And as an analyst, if you're following some of those feeds, that gives you threat intelligence to be able to go and hunt in your environment. Look and see if any of those IRCs are actually showing up in your environment. And if they are, where are they? Because that could be majorly concerning, right? So they're quick, they're simple, they're easy. Hey, I'm being attacked by this IP. Let me pop it out there on Twitter. And I don't know, it might not be that quick, but it could be pretty quick. So, yeah.
Well, so we've got all these different types of sources, web pages, podcasts, different
Twitter,
types of blogs. So
LinkedIn,
social media.
Yep.
So come on, man. So what do we use to aggregate this stuff? Ready? Let's say it together. 3, 2, 1. Feedly. It is Feedly. Okay. So you and I are using the same thing.
We are not sponsored by Feedly, just to be clear.
We're not. But it's just such a handy tool.
It is.
Show me your Feedly. Can you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, one of the things I'll tell you about Feedly and why I like Feedly as well too, it's actually free for an individual to use Feedly for the first 100 sources. So you can put in there a whole lot of different sources and follow those sources. So you can use your Google account to set up a free Feedly, and like you notice I've got about 60 feeds, I guess you could say here. And those different feeds are some of the most frequently visited and listened to news sources and blog writers out there. And you can basically, go to each and every one. Like, for instance, I mentioned the podcast earlier, Darknet Diaries. You can click on it and go right to the articles, and you can see the most up-to-date podcasts that they've run. So whatever, if they release a new podcast, great, you got it. You can go and look at it and listen to it on your time off. Let's see. Here's Krebs on security. So you can look at Krebs on security, and instead of having to go to all these individual websites, you literally just have all of them right here. You click on the one that you want to listen to or the one that you want to watch, and you can go right directly to that Feedly RSS feed coming directly from them, instead of having to go to each and every website. So it just makes it a little bit more organized, a little bit easier, a little bit more straightforward. Now they do have a pro version as well. The pro version is not too expensive, but it does give you some additional features, connections to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. For instance, if you read an article about a new cybersecurity threat and there's IOCs in there, it'll make connections to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. So you can kind of look at the navigator on the MITRE ATT&CK framework and see where in the process some of those IOCs are showing up as a part of that threat attack vector and so forth. So it's pretty cool. I think they also have some additional features in there as well too. But
for me, what I like, do you mind if I show you my Feedly?
Yeah, absolutely. Here, let me stop sharing. Europe.
So for me, because I'm not quite the IT security maven you are, I actually will use Feedly as a tool set. I don't know if you've messed with this, the explore function, which often gives some pretty interesting up-to-date stories. So for me, it's so many people look at a thing like Feedly and they're like, oh, that's great, but I don't know what to use and try. And the answer is you try them all. Feedly's amazing. You can organize any way you want. I was laughing. I was looking at yours. You and I share a lot of different feeds. And I think it's just an absolutely wonderful tool for somebody who's even just learning to not be afraid to jump in and explore a little bit. And I absolutely love it. So I guess the moral to this story is, if you're going to be doing cybersecurity, you're probably going to be using Feedly. And as I noticed on both of our screens where it said upgrade at the top, we're both using the free version.
Hey, if it's free, it's for me. I'm okay with that. So I don't have a problem with that at all.
So folks, I guess that's what it's all about. If you're going to be doing cybersecurity, you have got to be staying on top of what's happening news-wise. And if you'll notice, Richard and I didn't give a lot of go to this place, go to this blog. I mean, we named a few. Everybody's going to be very different here. Use a tool like Feedly. I'm not aware. Does Feedly have a competitor?
There are other RSS feeds out there. To be honest, I've used Feedly for a while, actually a few years now. So off the top of my head, I don't remember some of the RSS feed competitors, but there are definitely
doesn't matter because this one's free and they can use it, and it's a great place to jumpstart.
Agree.
So folks, that's all we got for today. I am Mike Meyers, and this handsome guy over here is Richard Chapman, and we are Two Bald Nerds. We will see you on the next episode.